Hello, I'm Doug Muzzio. This is City Talk. CUNY, the City University of New York. It has more students than the population of all but 32 American cities. It educates more than 500,000 degree-seeking and adult and continuing ed students. They come from 208 countries and speak 190 languages. CUNY generates $8 billion a year into the New York State and New York City economies. Its capital construction produces 14,000 jobs in New York City alone. It has 24 colleges and professional schools. Its alumni include 13 Nobel Prize winners. It is indeed the great American dream machine. Here to talk about CUNY is Chancellor James B. Milliken. Chancellor Milliken was the unanimous and enthusiastic choice of the CUNY Board of Trustees. He came to CUNY from the University of Nebraska, where he was president for 10 years. He achieved record enrollments, was a highly successful fundraiser, developed major research institutes and academic programs, pioneered online education, established partnerships with business and labor, and initiated global engagements, and substantially increased student financial aid, among other things. On June 1st, 2014, he took the helm of the City University of New York. He joined us 2 weeks later. He's been on the job 8 months. He's back. Welcome, Mr. Chancellor.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Okay, let's talk about CUNY and its request. You're going to go before the state legislature. What does CUNY need? What do we want from the legislature, and what can we expect from state government?
You may have a better sense of what we can expect after my 8 months here, but I can talk a little bit about what we need. First of all, public higher education is one of the great and most significant investments in this country. It changes the trajectory of the nation. Between 70 and 80% of the students nationwide that are in higher education are in public institutions. So this, first of all, it's a great investment no matter where you are. But here, it's even better. If you look at the profile of the students we educate, 40% born outside of the U.S. mainland, 40% from families they report with a family income of less than $20,000. Over 40% the first in their family to attend college. These are students without CUNY would not have an opportunity to go up the economic ladder and achieve their dreams and provide for their families and contribute to New York. So as you said, there are 500,000 students who either continuing adult education or matriculating across the city. And the reason we're able to do this is in part because of a public investment. Tuition is among the lowest levels in the nation at CUNY. Still 65% of our students, full-time students, don't pay tuition because of Pell Grants and TAP and other, and that's the only way they could attend the university. So this is a great investment by the state of New York and by the city of New York to some degree. And so that's the case that we have. This is the great American dream machine, as you said, and as Andy Grove, the former CEO of Intel, said maybe before you did, but it's, and a graduate of City College.
Yep.
But it's absolutely true. It provides opportunity that would not otherwise be there, and I think CUNY has one of the most compelling stories to tell of any institution in America.
Given the compelling story, are we going to get what we want and what we need? I mean, going back to the Rolling Stones, you can't always get what you want. And you're asking for community college base aid of $17.2 billion, academic excellence of $28 million, mandatory course needs $33 million, student success $11 million, capital needs $656 million and $231 million for critical maintenance. Are we going to get it, given this ain't Nebraska? Nebraska was, you're coming from a system and a state that really valued higher education. I don't know. Is that the case in New York?
I'm glad you reminded me this isn't Nebraska. So I am reminded every day as I come down 42nd Street to the office. Our job, our task here when in meeting with the legislature this week and talking to the governor and also talking to the mayor and the city council, particularly about community colleges, is to make the case for the investment in CUNY. And there are a lot of fundamentally important investments, I think, that we need to talk about this year. First and foremost, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about K-12 education or university education. What we know, a fundamental principle is that the quality of teaching, the quality of the faculty makes the most difference. There is no such thing as a great university without a great faculty. We haven't had a contract in years for our faculty. It's a difficult position at CUNY because we have city and state support for the university. In some ways, that's a great advantage. In some ways, to try to reach an agreement, there are additional challenges to get everybody on the same page. No one wants to do this more than I do. I've been in this business for over 25 years. And first among my priorities, whether it was in North Carolina or Nebraska or New York, is we need to be competitive for faculty. We need to retain the best faculty. To do that, we need to reach an agreement with the PSC. We need to be in a position to have a fair agreement with them. And so that's a high priority for me, investing in people. You know, about 80% of public higher education's budgets, including CUNY, is the people costs, is supporting salaries and fringe benefits. It is a knowledge business, and it is the knowledge of our faculty that's the business that we're largely.
So when are we going to get this contract?
So this is a big priority for us to, first of all, to be able to retain the faculty we have. Second, as you know from looking at our budget requests and other pieces, is continuing effort to hire more full-time faculty, new faculty. It's kind of an amazing statistic when you look at it, but years ago we had far more full-time faculty than we have today with far fewer students. We've added tens of thousands of students, and we've actually reduced in the number of full-time faculty. You know, that's unsustainable, and so that's a part of our request. So if you had to look at the biggest components of those numbers that you read, I'm sure everybody doesn't want to go through the detail of this, but it has to do with being able to attract and retain faculty, pay fringe benefits, which haven't been covered by the state in this proposed budget, and other things that go to the core of providing the education every day to these over 500,000 students, to doing research that is fundamentally important to the future of this city, and to engaging in the so many ways that CUNY does, whether it's Citizenship Now, whether it's CUNY Start, whether it's these programs, whether it's early college, programs across the city that are fundamentally important that would really be missed if CUNY wasn't there to provide them.
Okay, you've been here 2 semesters, a summer semester and a fall semester. What has surprised you the most about CUNY? What do you wish you would have known when you came that you know now? Well,
so what surprised me? You know, when we talked in June after I'd been here 2 weeks, I told you about how CUNY resonates around the country and how people understand what its mission is. Probably what I didn't understand at that point, but did after visiting 24 of our campuses in the 2 months after we talked, was the commitment of the people at CUNY, our faculty and our staff, to the mission. I hosted a group of brand new, freshly minted PhD faculty a few months ago, several hundred of them coming in for the first time. When I talked to them, I gave them my welcome speech. I talked to them about CUNY. When I talked about the profile of our students, they broke out in spontaneous applause with smiles on their faces.
They're the best.
Our faculty are terrific in the way that they embrace this mission, that they love our students, and they work so hard to help them succeed. And that's something that you can hear about it, you can read about it, but you can't really understand it completely until you've had the chance to meet with them and visit our campuses.
Any disappointments, if you will, sort of negative surprises about not necessarily the university, but the environment within which the university operates? Get yourself in trouble.
You know,
Go ahead.
You know, I'm an optimist, so in most cases the glass is half full to me. I see great opportunities for CUNY. Some of these I talked about, as you know, in a speech this fall, where I hit on some of the things where I think CUNY has opportunity to grow and opportunity to do more things than it is today. So if a chancellor came in and didn't see any opportunity for the future of the institution, we would not be in a good place. So I do think there's opportunity here.
Okay, let's go back to money again, the state budget proposal. In your January 26 remarks before the Board of Trustees, you laid out some of what was included in that budget and what wasn't included in that budget. Are you optimistic, given whatever conversations you've had, that what wasn't in the budget, SEEK, the Murphy Institute, ASAP, et cetera, will be included?
Well, you know, there's a time-honored tradition. It's not just New York. It's in every state where the executive puts forth his or her priorities, and then the legislature gets a chance to respond. And these are, by and large, the examples you mentioned, legislative priorities from past years. So they may not have been included in the executive budget, but I do have some level of confidence that we will be able to convince the legislature to fund them. They are programs that you know, we could talk all day about. Programs like ASAP, for instance, and the good that it does.
Sure, let's go to ASAP. Talk about the recognition that our programs have gotten from the President of the United States and incorporated in his proposals. Talk about that.
We participated in the White House Summit on Educational Opportunity a couple months ago, largely, I think, because of the record that CUNY has had, and in part it's ASAP. In the President's announcement about a proposed free tuition for community colleges across the country, the White House referenced one institution and one program, CUNY and ASAP. This was followed up by editorials in the New York Times, the Daily News, Bloomberg News, and other places. Yep. It's now being emulated by higher ed leadership around the country. There's a program in Ohio modeled after ASAP. The results are remarkable. They speak for themselves. So it is an investment that dramatically changes the course for students at community colleges. It improves their chance at a degree, in some cases 3 times what the typical completion rates would be.
Talk a little bit about what ASAP actually does. What was sort of the nuts and bolts of the effort?
ASAP, first of all, is for, at this point, for full-time students. So you start with a cohort that is on a path to be able to achieve its graduation in 2 or 3 years. But the most important intervention, and what is ASAP focuses on, is this intense advising, intervening early, providing enough advisors so that students get a high level of attention, providing peer mentoring, providing Metro cards, which can often be the difference between whether a student gets to class that day or misses 1 class and then 2 classes and then starts to fall behind and it's on a slope. So ASAP was a very careful look at what are those difference-making features of an experience for successful community college students versus those who don't persist and eventually drop out. It's in some ways not a cheap program, but if you look at the cost, it's a little like what somebody said, you think knowledge is or education is expensive, try ignorance. In this case, if you look at the cost, compare it to the cost to society, to the cost to individuals, to the lost income potential, the lost revenues to the city and state, to the lost economic activity. It's well worth the investment. And the mayor has put in a significant new investment this last year. I expect he will continue to. It's a program that is so successful, and we need to continue to scale it up.
Yeah, the numbers are really pretty astounding. Nearly 6 in 10 students graduate within 3 years. I mean, that's fairly astounding that that's the case.
Compare that to sort of an average nationally of 15% at urban community colleges, 3-year graduation rates. That's an incredible difference that this program makes.
One of the problems that we face, CUNY faces, is what's coming out of the K through 12 system that requires a massive amount of remediation. And this model seems to be able to sort of focus in on that. What is CUNY doing with the Department of Ed, for example, that might enhance the prep of students going into college?
Well, first of all, ASAP, as you say, is a great program to take these students as they arrive.
Right.
A second program, CUNY Start, which is a terrific new program, has about 4,000 students in it this last year, which is an intensive effort. First of all, you delay matriculation, and we provide almost cost-free instruction so that students can meet their remediation needs in the first semester. This has proved to be highly successful. Focus simply on these remediation needs. Don't start using Pell and TAP funding, which will at the end of the day, stop your efforts to continue pursuing your degree. That's been a great success, and we need to do more of that. College Now programs, we have tens of thousands of students in high schools across New York participating in this program, before and after school, to provide college level, first of all, to deal with remediation needs, but also to provide college level courses and credit. That's another great program. So we're joined at the hip, as I've said before, with the Department of Education,
sure.
K-12. We produce many of the teachers, and of course 60% of the students who go on to college from the Department of Education come to CUNY. So this is a cycle. There's no wall that people are throwing things over. We need to work together, and we will continue to do that. But programs like College Now are one example where we work well together.
Okay, when we last talked in June, I noted to you that CUNY gets a lot of attention for educating students, but there was a real question about research opportunities within the university and its capacities, the development of business partnerships, which you talked about at the Association for Better New York, and the close association of government and the university. Talk about what the university is doing vis-a-vis research and partnerships.
Yeah. Well, first of all, as you know, over the last year, CUNY has been engaged in something, last 10 years, called the Decade of Science, where
right.
we've made significant investments in science facilities across the university, the most notable being at City College, where there's a companion building, the Advanced Research Center, Advanced Science Research Center of CUNY, which deals with 5 fundamentally important areas of research and is attracting world-class faculty. And then across the street, a City College facility, advanced science facility, for their science programs. So to do modern science, you have to have modern facilities. You have to have great faculty. We have great faculty. You have to be able to be competitive for graduate students who, particularly in the natural sciences, are such an important part not only of being able to conduct the research at the institution, but produce the next generation of leading scientists for New York and elsewhere. So that we've made these investments. We need to continue to be able to compete for both faculty and for graduate students, and that's something that we've turned our attention to at this point. But I think CUNY has great opportunity. We also have great opportunity for partnerships. We've got some great things going on Roosevelt Island. We're blocks away from Columbia and their new facilities as they grow to the north. We've got NYU and other leading institutions in New York City, and some outside New York City that we're engaging in some new partnerships with, who are very interested in being a part of what's happening here with the burgeoning technology sector in New York. So we have some great opportunities. I think CUNY would be a great partner for many other research universities. We are in many ways complementary, and so I look forward to those opportunities.
What's particularly intriguing to me is the Roosevelt Island CUNY connection, the Cornell Techon. Since it hasn't really started yet, this is almost seems to be a prime opportunity. I presume that that's part of what we're exploring as well.
Right. I do think it's an opportunity, and originally we were aligned with a competitor, an institution in some places like Palo Alto or something. I can't remember the name of it, but
began with an S.
Unsuccessful. But we're the largest institution in New York City.
Yep.
We have tremendous assets to offer any. I continue to look to both Cornell and Techon, two fabulous institutions, as potential partners for CUNY in many ways.
Okay, let's move. One of the other elements of your Abney talk was not only research CUNY, but global CUNY, and you've been a champion of and an observer of globalization in higher ed. We're the most globally connected city and probably in the world. What does it mean to be a global university, first of all?
Yeah, well, this is something that I'm talking to our presidents about and our faculty across CUNY, because as you say, we start in a different place than many institutions in this country, with 40% of our students born outside the the United States. They hail from over 200 countries.
And we have alumni all over the place.
We have alumni all over the place. So we're not the same as as a Michigan State or even Texas or places like that. So the agenda for us, I think, has to be different. We have to think about how do we build on what the assets are that we have so that our students, while they may hail from countries all over the world, leave CUNY with the same advantages that students who leave the most global of our universities that have locations around the world and have multiple study abroad opportunities. We need to figure out the right strategy for our student profile and our faculty to provide the opportunities for them. And that's what we're looking at right now. You know, one of the things that I think is a great opportunity for us, we're in the most important city in the world, and we've got faculty and students who are interested in these issues that are fundamental to the future of our great urban areas, like the built environment, like a sustainable use of resources. And so why don't we lead consortia on this with faculty and students from cities around the world that are interested in this, what is a rapidly urbanizing global population, and be part of addressing these challenges. Not only do our students and faculty get to participate in challenges facing the world, but we draw resources and talent to CUNY and to collaborative opportunities with us that are going to help New York ultimately.
What specifically can and is CUNY doing in this regard in terms of its international focus, which hasn't been really in the forefront, even though there are units within the university that deal with it? There hasn't been sort of a coherent, cohesive approach to this.
Right. Well, give us a little time. We're working right now, talking to faculty and the presidents about developing a sort of a coherent plan for all of CUNY. There have been pockets of excellence which are terrific. Last year, a record 22 Fulbright students. That's remarkable at any institution. And 14 faculty who compete for these great
and it's
programs.
Global, in the literal sense of the
Absolutely,
word.
all over the world. But that's great. We've just started a new program with a leading university in Brazil to send scholars here to visit, to work with us. We're participating in the Students Without Borders program from Brazil, where the government pays students to come primarily in STEM disciplines to study here. It gives us, our students, a great opportunity, our faculty a great opportunity, and engages us in ways we wouldn't otherwise be engaged.
Okay. Another element of the Abney speech was digital CUNY. What does that mean, digital CUNY? And how do we become a digital university and at the same time retain what is really sort of the personal focus on our students as New Yorkers?
Right. Well, I don't think either CUNY or many of the established higher education institutions in this country are going to give up on the opportunity for students and faculty to be in the same place and work together every day. So let's start there. But second, the world is changing, whether we welcome it or not, and many of our faculty welcome it, perhaps some do not, but we are going to have more and more competitors in New York City for the students that we have traditionally served because of this opportunity which breaks down geographic
and time
barriers and time. So exactly right. I mean, for the student who has a family, has a couple of jobs, CUNY's very convenient, perhaps with 24 locations, more than most universities in the country, but there's still something to be said for being able to study on your own time, asynchronously, 2 in the morning, and be able to do your studies. So it's both a convenience for students, and by the way,
and faculty as well.
Absolutely. But if our students didn't have the opportunity to do this, 5-10 years out, we know how many times they're going to change careers, how often they need to retool. We want to be able to have them be comfortable with this environment and these tools and look to CUNY 5 years down the road when they need to get a certificate or upgrade their skills. That's where they ought to be doing it. It's really all about our faculty, particularly those who want to be involved in this environment, having the opportunity and the tools to do it.
Now, what is the university doing to provide that opportunity and the tools to faculty, some of whom are reluctant to move out of their box in a traditional sense?
Well, first of all, there's a regulatory scheme for all this, and this week we're talking to the Board of Regents about participation in a regional compact, and also participating in a national program that has reciprocal ability to offer courses across the country without going through each state's approval processes.
Nice.
So this will continue to break down the barriers, and it is going to happen. Many states have already joined this national consortium. So that's one of the opportunities we need to provide. We need to provide funding opportunities for our faculty to develop new courses, and so we're asking for an investment in this in the budget request. We've provided some of this in the past. You know, one of our programs at the School of Professional Studies I just saw in U.S. News ranking was, I think, 27th in the country in online education. So CUNY is not completely new to this.
Sure.
But, you know, it's one of the paradoxes of CUNY with 24 primary locations in one city and then other kinds of outlets all over the city. It's a subway or a bus ride or two away for most students.
Sure.
So in some ways we haven't focused on what has traditionally been known as distance education in the same way that other states have. But it is important. It is an important skill for our students and an opportunity for our faculty to have much, much broader impact.
What's coming up? What's the next big thing?
Well, first of all, as I said in the Abney speech, and I've said many times, you know, the most important thing about CUNY is this fundamental mission of access, broadly affordable, broad access, and high quality. And so we are always going to have that as a fundamental set of goals and always be pursuing that. So we talked about the programs with the public schools and the need for remediation and
Sure.
how to help students graduate more quickly. That's always going to be at the forefront. But there's so many other things that CUNY can do, I think, and some is on the way to do now. A new school of public health, which I think has to be
Yep.
global in nature. If you think about it, you know, there are no diseases, there are no conditions that are now limited to one part of the world when you get on an airplane and take it with you. So that's an enormous advantage for us and platform for us. But there are many other programs, I think, where we need to ramp up in the research that we're doing to provide opportunities for our faculty and our students to engage with the city in these areas. We're working with the mayor now on a series of areas where we think we can have something to contribute to the city, and I think they look at us as a tremendous resource in this area too. Connecting with the private sector is going to be increasingly important. We have so many students who have undergone such adversity to get to where they are. They're incredibly competitive, and we need to do a better job of first providing them with internships and mentoring experiences that can prepare them for the workforce, and second, knitting them together with leading private companies and employers, whether it's in the tech sector or the financial sector or others, so that they know our students, they get to know them as interns, they know our institutions, and they look first to CUNY for hiring, which isn't always the case right now.
Okay. You're going to come back sooner than 8 months. How about an end of the spring semester review?
When I come back? Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Happy to do it.
Excellent.
Love to.
My thanks to CUNY Chancellor James Milliken for being on the show. Join me next week when my guest will be New York City Controller Scott Stringer here on CUNY TV. I'm Doug Muzzio. Let us know what you think about this show. You can reach us at CUNY.TV. When you get there, click on the bar that says Contact Us and send your email. Whatever it is. Thanks, no thanks, obnoxious, do it. Send it.